Hey, what's up? It's a Figure Hunter, and tonight we're going to talk about another sort of a conceptual discussion when testing the Whoop 4.0 in one specific aspect, health and wellness, versus a number of other players on the market today. As always, as a Figure Hunter, test devices for CrossFit and CrossFit tracking and training versus all the running, swimming, and biking videos that are out there today. So if you like this, please give it a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing for more. A lot of Whoop content on the way and a lot of other devices along with it. I just sent in my sizing request for the Aura 3.0 and more testing to come on multiple devices. So with that, what we want to do today is talk about, basically this is just more of a realization coming from testing multiple devices to receiving my Whoop 4.0 and not being a current user of the 3.0 or the 2.0 because the accuracy was so terrible. So as I've been reviewing the ins and outs of the Whoop 4.0, and I'm super fired up to be partnering with the 5K runner, and they are gonna type up, like the written version of the review, and I'm doing some video content, so we're sort of sharing in the magic of reviewing the Whoop 4.0 in different sort of versions for different people. So as I've been reviewing all the different aspects and the ins and outs of the Whoop 4.0, I've got the wrist heart rate accuracy review up. I'll put the link below. Got the bicep accuracy review up. I'll put the link below. I'm testing it on the forearm. Might not run that test all the way out because I just think it's either bicep or nothing. But along the way, I can't help but make observations versus all the other platforms and devices I've been testing along the way. Garmin, Polar, Suunto, Apple Watch apps, Coros. So it's making me sort of look at specific aspects of Whoop and what they are providing value-wise versus some of the other providers out there. Because I realize a lot of you guys watching it, I just saw a notice that Whoop is apologetically saying that it's going to be 2 to 4 more weeks for some of you guys waiting. And that is really tough that there's just this span of time. So I ordered it like day one. I ordered it by 2 methods. My second method was going to be like 11 weeks. My first method I received, and I've been thankful that it's worked out. But I know that's got to be hard. So there's a lot of people, watching reviews to see what is the value of this. And so I think from those people that are coming from 3.0 that have only know the Whoop system, or those of you in the CrossFit community that jumped on to Whoop because CrossFit supported as the official wearable of CrossFit, I want you guys to know what value it's bringing in different sort of physiological aspects of your life and what others are out there. So we're just going to sort of dive into some of the other offers. I just released the video of the Whoop training and training development guidance alongside the training and training development guidance of other watches that are out there, because I am just finding the Whoop is very shallow in really evaluating your rigor and like pushing of your fitness level today versus other periods of time and really growing your fitness. It just sort of, obviously gives you a score. And so tonight we're just going to review and compare Whoop's wellness and recovery guidance versus a few primary players. And that we're just going to look at Garmin, Polar, and Apple Watch apps. And one in particular, the Athlytic app. So we're going to look at those primary things. What do they provide? So that is the question. What do they provide? So with all these, we're going to look at a summary of the app. We're going to dive through the app in a second. But just sort of talking about it conceptually, Whoop, it provides you recovery percentage. It's a culmination of heart rate variability, sleep percentage of your goal, and your respiration rate from the last night. So you got the sleep review, which is basically at first glance a percentage of how much sleep you were supposed to get versus what you got. So not a lot of quantifiable or empirical value there, but it shows you the heart rate and the stages when you break down into it. The sleep is the percentage of goal, and it's just a separate area. You can see blood oxygen and temperature. It's just like a completely separate area, health monitor report that I don't really dive into. So that's what Whoop provides, and a lot of it is just based on that one recovery score, which is based on those other components. But then you have players like Garmin. Garmin provides, just in simple form, heart rate variability all day. You can see, what your score was when you woke up. You can see your drain throughout the day. You can see a trackable value at all times, 24/7, of your heart rate variability and what it determines or what it means about your energy level and your overall resources internally. You can see your sleep. You can see the stages of sleep. You can see how much you moved in your sleep. You can see your pulse ox of your sleep, your respiration rate of your sleep. And then really more importantly to me, as far as actionable ideas, you can see a sleep score. And that sleep score is based on a number of different factors. So a lot of data and score recommendations along with it with Garmin. And then you have Polar. Polar has got the nightly recharge, which is a culmination of the autonomic nervous system recharge, which has heart rate variability and variations like that. We'll talk in a second. And then sleep evaluation and a sleep score. So it's half sleep. And so what you see when you see the sleep, you see the stages graphically laid out like in the Garmin system. You see a score that's based on 6 metrics, different metrics about your sleep relative to previous averages. You see, and then the other half of your nightly recharge value is your autonomic nervous system regeneration. And that's based on, I think, 3 primary values. And it's a score that looks at 3 primary factors like heart rate variability, beat-to-beat intervals, and respiration rate while you sleep. But you can just see, so at first glance when you wake up and you look at Polar, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to look at these devices like, what do you see when you wake up? What are you getting value-wise from these things? And, that's what I see. Like you see like, boom, a simple score. And then you can see, oh, I really failed in this one area. Let's take a look. And you can see, oh, gosh, I can see the metrics. I can see the data throughout the whole night. And then you have Athlytic, Apple Watch app. So the Athlytic is like a Whoop replica, but bringing into bear, because the developers are super ambitious, they're really tying in other things that other companies are doing, sort of like take the Whoop concept and evolve it with more data, more information, and more value. Really, really cool stuff. I really like the developers there. So the first thing is you have a primary, you have your recovery. So just like in the Whoop, you have your recovery, which is based on heart rate variability. It is using the Apple Watch's periodic heart rate variability tracking, which is what I understand to be less frequent than the Whoop is tracking. But either way, it's coming out somewhat similar. And then you have your sleep. You have your averages of your nightly sleep versus other things, but you can easily and quickly see your respiration rate, your blood oxygen, and then you see a health summary very easily accessible versus digging a little bit more into Whoop. So with those things, those are the primary players. I just wanted to give you a quick glance. So now we're just going to sort of look at them side by side and just sort of see what you see when you wake up, when you go to look at the app midday, or all those types of things. It's more of like an experience of what you get from a health, wellness, and recovery aspect when you look at Whoop versus some of the competitors. Let's dive in, then we'll talk about it. Have the Whoop system, and you basically just want to go to the recovery metrics. And here you have the recovery percentage when you wake up, when you start the day, how ready are you for the day? And it says elevated recovery, so it gives me a stat. And the stat recommendation is based on heart rate variability. So I don't know how much of it is based on some of these other metrics. When you flip it over, you can see it's based on heart rate variability, resting heart rate, sleep percentage, and that's just overall a percentage relative to your previous 30 days, how much sleep you got versus. So that's just a time calculation. And versus respiration rate. And you can obviously see your time, your recovery over different periods of time. But if you just go to see your recovery, this is what you get. And if you want more data, you can't click into any more data to see what your experience was like overnight that caused this recovery. And then you can go into sleep. At first glance, the sleep performance, that performance sounds like here's how good you slept. But really, it just means how much percentage of your recommended amount of sleep you got. So you got 73%. So your pure minutes versus the pure minutes that you should get is all that you can see statistic wise. And then you go into the sleep and you can see the heart rate over the course of time, and you can see the stages. So I don't know how to rate the amount of time in different stages. I don't know how to value that. So this just sort of shows you that generic information, and the main number that's in big bold letters is really just a percentage of the total time you should sleep. You can go one tab over to the coaching, and here's where you can go into the sleep coach, or here's where you can go into the health monitor, and that's where you can get some of the basic health aspects. So you can dive in. Again, we've had 3 or 4 clicks, and you don't see your blood oxygen across the night, but you can see the range. I'm guessing, and I haven't experienced it, that it would show you if there was a problem, if something had come up, and you can see your respiration rate. But again, you don't see it. You just get an explanation of the singular number. Skin temperature. Again, you don't see any variation charts across time, but you just get the number. So that's what we see with Whoop when it comes to overall health, wellness, and recovery. And so then we go into a platform like Garmin. And Garmin has 2 different basic metrics. We'll talk about the most simple, which is just your sleep evaluation. You can see your stages. I like that it's graphically laid out where you can see what stages were deep, REM, and awake, and then you can see your movement. So you can see when you got up, or even if it miscalculated and you got up to use the bathroom instead of just rolling around in bed. You can also see your pulse ox throughout the night. You can see what your blood oxygen was at different periods, and you can see your breathing rate. So you can see if there was a spike, both pulse ox or in breathing. But the best thing that they added with the First Beat analytics that they contract with or that they own is you have a sleep score, and that sleep score is based on 8 different variables or 7 different variables. You can just sort of see where you fell short and see where you did well. Sometimes it just helps me just to see, okay, well, my REM was poor and my deep was better. But the primary thing that I like about Garmin is this body battery. This is your stress, your heart rate variability across time. So when you're carrying a lot of stress, your body is being depleted. You start out with a score. So like when I woke up, it said, like 83. So I was ready to go, which is what the Whoop system told me. But I can see information when it comes to value. Then you have Polar, so the nightly recharge. And we're going to look at a specific example of some of these things in a second. The nightly recharge says, boom, I'm good, I'm ready to go. The sleep score on the right is sleep charge. It just shows you I was just kind of average. It was my heart rate variability that boosted my score because it was a very positive number. When you go into the sleep aspects, you can see a graphical representation like in Garmin. You can see the score is based on 6 components, and those components are time, solidity, continuity, actual sleep, REM sleep, and deep sleep percentage as it compares to the last periods of 30 days or whatever. Then you have the autonomic nervous system, which is where you can see statistics and details. Beat to beat intervals, you can see that across time, so you can hold your little finger. I think you can click, different points in time. You can see your heart rate variability. Well, that didn't look so good. And you can see your breathing rate at different periods of time. So you can see all this information tied in to a direction and summary and some tidbits down below. And then you have Athlytic, and Athlytic just really looks a lot like Whoop. It just takes the heart rate variability and it runs a similar statistic, and boom, you got it. But you can see a recovery per day all in one page instead of flipping from one page to the next to see your recovery trend lines. And then you have your sleep, and your sleep, it's fine, the total amount of time sleep, great, sleep per day. But I like that you can get into charts. You can see details like how was your heart rate over the course of time you slept? How was your heart rate variability? Now, this is only like a 3-point spot check, so not really great. And you see, Garmin taking second by second heart rate variability tracking, but this is just what the Apple provides, and that's what they have to work with. Then you have your respiration rate, and that's just a big, pretty graph. I mean, if you own an Apple Watch, you should definitely own Athlytic. There's no question about it because it takes the Apple Watch's data and displays it in visually helpful colors. So there you have it with Athlytic. And so one of the things I was going to show was, a period of time in which things were not good. So this was November 8th. I got terrible recovery, and the sleep performance says 78%. So my recovery, okay, you're in the dumps, you're doing terrible, and your sleep, all I see is 78%, and I got 5.5 hours of sleep. So that doesn't help me with information, at least that I can, like, actionable information. And so if we go into the sleep and we go back to that dreadful day, here, same sort of stats and information, but if you go to the sleep score and you look at that same day on the sleep score, what information was I given when I woke up? I was given that I got a 20. So not only did and we'll look at body battery, which is heart rate variability, but here it says, it's going back to today, dadgummit. Here on the 8th, it says I got a 78 percentile, so not a lot I can tell from that. Garmin's saying you failed the test and you are in dire straits, you bum. And then what do you see? We're in polar. You can see polar goes to, oh God, I went too far back. Here, very poor, very poor. You are not doing well. So it's got, again, that failure status in the autonomic nervous system charge, but on the sleep charge, because the quality of sleep was poor, I got a failure. And then, you can see what Athlytic did. I don't remember what it was, but 17% recovered. So it doesn't give you any sleep value, sleep score, but it gives you the same information. So again, when I go to Whoop, yes, I can see that my strain score on the 8 or my recovery score was 18%. That's terrible, but I don't see clear information or charts or useful stuff when it comes to the sleep versus all these others where, you can see that you failed your sleep. And then the other thing I was going to show was with the body battery, you can see how you really did. So here, in my sleep, I only recovered to like 32. I only regenerated to 32% readiness for the day. But you can see how my day just declined and eroded into me, and the workout itself brought me down to basically 0. 5 is like a 0 on the scale. But you can see how like the one day leads into the next and why that applies, why that's so important. And then you can see days like this where you actually have big time recovery and you have a quality night's sleep, which you also get in days like this where my sleep performance, again, 86 recovery. My sleep performance got 71%, but I had great recovery, just like the body battery is showing me. And just like if we went into the sleep score and we went to that same recovery day on Tuesday, I got an 81. You can see all the components that tie into it. You can look at polar and you can see that on that same day it was good, but my autonomic nervous system recharge was a 10. So Whoop is not doing anything that's, revolutionary. They're doing maybe some revolutionary stuff in simplifying some of the information, but definitely not revolutionary stuff in providing a wealth of information. But let's talk. So what do I think in summary? The Whoop is great health, recovery, and wellness concept and good general data point, general information, percentages. Just here's your percentage of ready to go-ness. But not enough meat or transparency into the info when I compare it to others on the market today. And so this is just more of like a general thoughts piece when compared to other dynamics or other aspects out there. I personally, having used these things for a long period of time, I find both Garmin's body battery and their sleep score, but really the body battery, that tells me a lot because it's just 24/7 heart rate variability tracking, and there is not another device on the market that tracks heart rate variability 24/7 and quantifies it into a trackable value for day-to-day life. But Garmin's body battery and somewhat their sleep score, and then I value Polar's nightly recharge. Just simple. Polar's nightly recharge is great because it just sort of says, here is your results and here's what it's based on, these two different factors, and you can look at data in each of them. So, it's just actionable in a different way. So with that is a summary and review of Whoop's wellness and recovery tracking value and benefit for day-to-day life when compared to other primary competitors on the market. I'm getting the Oura Ring 3.0 in a couple weeks, so maybe I'll have a different opinion when that comes. But for that's it for now. It's a Fit Gear Hunter. Stay tuned for more.